delegates of the Constitutional Convention of 1787 in Philadelphia's Independence Hall. Anti-Federalists and Federalists, we present you an important matter concerning the ratification of the Constitution with a Bill of Rights or without. The topic is a significant component in forming our nation. Robert Yates, a politician and judge, was well known for his anti-federalist stances, meaning that he opposes the idea of a strong central government. In 1787 and 1788, he wrote political essays under the pseudonyms of Brutus and Sidney. Alexander Hamilton is a devoted Federalist, meaning he's in favor of a strong central government. Co-writer alongside James Madison and John Jay of the 85 Federalist Papers, he is one of the most influential promoters of the Constitution. With that being said, Hamilton and Yates will give you our undivided attention.
We, anti-federalists, oppose the Constitution, asserting it gives too much power to the central government. In addition, we are concerned that the Constitution does not have a Bill of Rights ensuring our basic freedom.
I affirm that bills of rights, in the sense and to the extent in which they are contended for, are not only unnecessary in the proposed Constitution, but would even be dangerous.
England's Magna Carta and Bill of Rights have long been the boast, as well as the security of that nation. I need say no more to an American than that this principle is a fundamental one. It is, therefore, the more astonishing that this grand security to the rights of the people is not to be found in this Constitution. I disagree with you, Hamilton, stating that a Bill of Rights is necessary because it ensures fundamental freedoms.
A Bill of Rights is already woven into the Constitution. The Magna Carta, meaning the Great Charter, was originally issued by King John of England. It was a treaty between the king and his subjects, ensuring the equality of free men. Previously, he imposed heavy taxes on his barons in order to pay off foreign affairs of war. If they did not pay the tax, he punished them. This occurred a fairly long time ago, Yates. Why must you bring this up now? We fled from Britain. We do not want to leave a trace of England here.
Yes, but the Magna Carta influences colonists to create the Bill of Rights, and the Magna Carta was a good agreement. Even though the agreement did not last long in England, it was still a good treaty. And what's more, we have citizens who will follow the law. If the people want a Bill of Rights, then we, as rightful politicians, shall give the citizens what they want.
You have not foreseen a possible reaction from the citizens that is essential in making the decision of whether or not a Bill of Rights is necessary. You cannot predict that citizens will not begin to assume they possess rights and privileges they do not have.
The Bill of Rights shall be specific enough so this will not happen. I consider the Bill of Rights necessary because it will address citizens' rights such as freedom of the press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to peacefully assemble, and the right to bear arms. Americans deeply care about these freedoms, Hamilton.
That is precisely the problem. A Bill of Rights mentions, no doubt, important rights that citizens should be entitled to. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, and freedom of the press. However, what of the millions of other rights citizens are entitled to? Citizens will wonder why they are not entitled to those other rights and, on this very account, would afford a colorable pretext to claim more than were granted. If a Bill of Rights does happen to be ratified, there will be a time when it is expanded. Remember, we are creating these documents for our children and future generations. What if one day citizens abuse the right to bear arms? Citizens may argue that it's for self-defense, but this will endanger future generations.
What about the other rights? Citizens may have as many rights as they want. Why are you so concerned with the citizens having too many rights? We left Britain for a reason. Britain is in shambles now, Hamilton. You and I both know that as a fact. I am also speaking on the delegates' behalf. We do not want England in America. If that is what you desire, I strongly suggest you return to Britain.
As you said previously, we have people who will follow the law here. We want rights, but we do not want complete anarchy in this country. Besides, stop talking about Britain. As times have changed from Britain to where we are now.
Yes, Hamilton, times have changed and they will continue to. And yes, the Bill of Rights will change with it. Maybe the Bill of Rights, if passed, will be in the best interest of the people.
Perhaps it will not be in the best interest of the people.
Excellent job. And now we will open up questions from the fellow delegates.
Why are you're so opposed to the Bill of Rights because Britain has the Bill of Rights, correct?
That's part of the reason, yes.
And yet, Mr. Yates is saying that the Bill of Rights will be able to change as times change. Why do you think that that's not necessary?
Well, I that that it's just better not to.
Well, there's already, well, Hamilton thinks that there's already a Bill of Rights woven into the Constitution, and so another document is not needed, but I think that it's fundamental, it's needed to have another document of fundamental rights.
Okay.
Yeah.
How will the Bill of Rights change, Mr. Yates?
Well, I believe that it will change in various ways. Well, the rights we have now, for example, are not going to be the same rights that our citizens will have in 2 centuries. Like, it's going to change based on times, and we need to think of that when we're creating this document. Oh, just present. Hi. I really loved your presentation. That was a very strong debate, and I really wanted to know. You said, Hamilton, you said that millions of other rights are already going to be specified. But Yates, are you going to specify every single right that there is? No. By stating some of the rights that I said, such as freedom of the press and freedom of religion and freedom of speech, those are the 10 main rights. And by stating those rights, we are implying others that encompass those rights.
Okay.
So my question is, I guess for both of you, actually, I guess more towards Mr. Yates. How do you, like another delegate said, how do you think is there a system where the Bill of Rights can change? Because how are you so sure that the Bill of Rights is going to change from if we ratify it? Is there a system that makes sure that it can change?
Well, no, there is no assurance, but I think we need to work hard and make sure that we cannot throw away the rights completely, and I believe that they will evolve into something different, but we can't throw away these 10 rights in 2 centuries, because then there would be no point in creating them in the first place.
Last delegate question?
So my question is for Mr. Hamilton. So you stated that it could be dangerous because some of the rights would be dangerous for the people in the future, and like you mentioned gun control, the right to bear arms. So if my question is that if Yates said that the Bill of Rights would be able to change over time, then don't you think that could keep that from happening because they could change that right?
Well, I mean, I think that if it's going to change over time, then there's not really any point in creating it in the first place, and we should just stick to the Constitution because it already mentions everything that the Bill of Rights has to offer. It already implies that. And so I don't think that it's necessary that we make a whole separate document. Because like I stated previously, citizens may start to assume that they have rights that they weren't actually given. And they'll think that because there's a Bill of Rights and a Constitution, that implies something else, and it doesn't work that way.
Excellent job. Thank you so much. That concludes our Constitutional Convention. And before we open it up for questions from the audience, present day, if you don't mind, go ahead and share your artwork. Oh, can you explain what the project was?
Yeah. Okay. So the project was in art class that we were supposed to create. Yeah, for our abstracts, is that we were supposed to create a painting or a drawing or really any kind of piece of art to represent what we were studying, which is the Bill of Rights.
So, because as we're studying the Bill of Rights, the fact that there is the Bill of Rights here represents the anti-federalist position because they wanted a Bill of Rights, but the fact that it's all torn up represents the federalist position because they didn't want a Bill of Rights. And then the faded American flag in the background just kind of, says it's American. So.
Well, I also think that it also states the American flag can also mean that, well, it's faded because there was an argument and they didn't agree, so sometimes they didn't agree as a union.
Thank you, excellent job. And now we can open up our questions to anyone about anything with their presentation or even a present day current event. However, we just ask that you please frame your question with a phrase first.
I really like the red one. And my question is, when this was, the debate was going on, where was it and, who was there? Was it, all people around? Or was it just...
It was in Philadelphia, in the Independence Hall, and it was in 1787.
And there were delegates who were there, and they came to these debates, and they asked questions, and they were, selected from their own states to come to this convention.
Do you both agree with the sides that you argued for? If not, why not? And if so, why do you?
No, I actually agree with the anti-federalist position.
I'm sorry, could you speak up? I couldn't hear you.
I actually agree with the anti-federalist position that we should have a Bill of Rights, because I think that it actually clarifies, and not what Hamilton said, that it confuses people. I think it actually clarifies. So.
I think that, I also think about that the anti-federalists, I do agree with my position, because, obviously today the Bill of Rights is needed, otherwise, Ted Cruz wanting to establish America a Christian nation, without the Bill of Rights, he could do that, and that's not right.
I know there are amendments that are made to the Constitution. Are amendments allowed to be made to the Bill of Rights?
Well, I think I actually researched this. The Constitution changed since when they wrote it, but the Bill of Rights has always stayed the same.
So, do you guys agree with the right to bear arms? People are abusing it now, but do you guys agree with that?
No, not at all. Because you wouldn't need to defend yourself if people weren't walking around with guns. So there's no point in it for the first place. And I think that at this time, maybe that was something that they needed back then. But now things have changed so much that it's so irrelevant to how we live today that it's only causing more problems.
And last question.
Yes. Okay. I really liked how you guys debated. I thought it was very well written and everything. I thought you guys spoke very loudly and I could hear you from behind you. So that's always good. I had a question. When the Anti-Federalists were writing the Bill of Rights, who do you think that they were directed towards? Do you think it was directed towards women, men, towards everyone?
Well, the Constitution, there were two main things wrong with it, according to the Anti-Federalists.
Go ahead and answer facing us so we can hear it.
That there wasn't a Bill of Rights.